We let's talk about the five factors that's driving the trend of boys underperforming, being unmotivated. And I could take my home country as an example. There is also an uptick in delinquent behavior, in violent behavior, joining the gangs and so on. And so there seems to be a detachment from the wider society to some extent. And so I want us to look at your five factors that you have found that have caused boys to move away from feeling motivated, feeling confident about themselves, feeling a part of the family, a part of the community. What have you found?
Okay. The first factor I talk about in the book is education,
Mhm.
and how education changed in several ways over the past 40 years. And one change I talk about is that schools are now less friendly to boys. And what exactly do I mean by that? Well,
Definitely.
I was visiting an American high school, and the teacher had given the students a very open assignment to write a story about anything you want. And a boy had chosen to write a story about the Battle of Stalingrad, December 1942, from the perspective of a Russian soldier. And he described the Russian soldier on patrol when he is ambushed by German soldiers who's trying to stab him with a knife so as to make no noise. And the Russian soldier fires his rifle in the face of the German soldier. And then the boy describes what happens when you fire a rifle at point blank range in another man's face. Well, what happens is the head explodes. A piece of brain goes one way, a piece of
Mhm.
chin with tooth attached goes another way, eyeball goes another way. And this boy was suspended from his school, and the parents were told he would not be allowed to return until the parents had obtained an assessment from a licensed professional who would have to assure the school that the boy posed no imminent danger to himself or to others. And when the parents shared that story with me, it really struck a chord with me personally, because I wrote a similar story. Back in 1977, our lead teacher for English nominated me and three other students to sit for a national competition sponsored by the National Council for Teachers of English, NCTE, here in the United States. And so the teacher showed us into a room and gave us each a little blue book and said, "You have 45 minutes, write a story." I wrote a story about East Germans trying to escape to West Germany and crossing a minefield in the middle of the night. And they've almost made it to the border when one of them steps on a mine, which blows off his left leg to the hip and his right leg below the knee. So he now has no feet left. He's crawling west to the last few feet. The East German guards have heard the explosion. They've turned their searchlights. They've found him. Now they're firing their rifles, narrowly missing him. The West German guards calling out encouragement. He makes it to the border without being hit, and the West German guard picks him up to take him to hospital. And in that moment, he dies. The end. My own mom died in September 2008. And going through her papers after her death, I found that she had saved the certificate sent to our home by the NCTE, awarding me their highest honor in creative writing. Boys have always written about traumatic amputation and violent death.
Mhm.
40 years ago, it could get you an award, as it did for me. Today, it could get you suspended from school. That's part of what I mean when I say that schools have become unfriendly to boys. Boys doing things that boys have always done, pointing fingers at each other, saying, "Bang, bang, you're dead," drawing a picture of a weapon, writing stories in which people get killed violently. Uh, Boys doing things that boys have always done now gets them in trouble. And the teacher says, "Why do you have to write such a violent story? Why can't you write a story about how you would feel if you weren't invited to the party?" And many boys respond, "School's stupid. I'm going to go home and play Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty or Medal of Honor, where I get rewarded for killing people."
Mhm.
And as a result, doing well in school now is seen by many boys as unmasculine, uncool. If you do
Right.
well in school, you don't want the other boys to know about that. If you complete all the missions in RDR2, you absolutely want the other boys to know about that. So uh, schools have become unfriendly to boys. That's one part of that factor.